Hey guys, on today's video, I'm going to show you the truth about Cuba. So, should you go to Cuba? Well, if you go to the Canadian website, you guys can see that it says exercise high degree of caution. Why is this? Well, you should check out why exactly. So right here, it's going to tell you shortages of basic stuff. Yeah, they always have that, so they're always going to have that. And sometimes they even give you warnings where there's power outages there. Now, that's what I recently saw during wintertime. However, this is what they don't tell you sometimes when they tell you, oh, there's a problem with their electrical stuff, is that there might be something going on in Havana, for example, or in Varadero, but in other parts of Cuba where they have separate grid, then they might not have any issues. And that's what happened to us this winter, actually, because I was actually worried about going there. Because I was like, wait, they're having power outages even at the resorts themselves, which is pretty rare. But later on, I found out that was only happening in Varadero. And then we take a look at Cayo Coco, for example, which is one of the main areas that we go to at this point in time. There were no problems at the resorts. I want to highlight at the resorts because it's a different reality when you go into a resort than what real life is for people over there. That's obviously because they put all the resources towards the resorts to make your accommodations, and that's because they try to put everything there to make it good for tourists so you guys don't feel those shortages. Now I just want to show you this right here. If you're selecting a resort, you might be thinking, well, 4-star, and that's so cheap to go there. Well, it might be, but don't go just for the price, because you might be thinking that a 4-star that's really cheap might be really good, but it might be just okay. Usually cheaper resorts have more shortages and more issues with the upkeep. Usually, not always. From what we've seen, it's not so much about the stars, but about the price. And you should compare region to region. So for example, I wouldn't compare this one that's in this part of Cuba with this guy. So if I'm gonna take a look at stuff that's in Cayo Santa Maria, I would just take a look at resorts there and compare which one's a little bit of higher price, because I know I'm gonna get better service usually. So for example, one of the first ones that we went to in Cayo Coco was Flamenco, which is an awesome resort. However, they do have some issues, and you do notice some sort shortages here and there of stuff, just very minimal. So for example, at the snack bar, they might run out of French fries one day. Or sometimes we've noticed that for an entire week, and then the next week, they have tons. However, recently we went to this other resort that's also in Cayo Coco, not that far away from this other one. This one's Gran Muthu, and this was an upgrade significantly, because I didn't really notice any shortages of anything with this resort itself. So they had lots of stuff to eat. There were no problems at all that I could say about this resort itself. But anyways, if you guys want real-time updates of people who are there right now, and you want to see what's going on, are they okay, or what shortages they see, what are the issues with a particular resort that you're looking at, then I would suggest going to Facebook. I know if you don't have a Facebook account, just create one. It doesn't have to be real. You don't have to import your pictures or anything like that. You could just use it just for these groups. And why I suggest this? Because there are lots of groups for every single resort. There's usually a main group out there, and you guys can go and check it out and just ask them, hey, how's it going there? Have you guys noticed any resort, any shortages or anything bad about it? And they will tell you, hey, this is good, this is the good, this is the bad. And it's also a good way to communicate with other people that are going there at the same time as you, because hey, when you're going to Cuba, you should pack up some meds with you. So Advil and all that stuff, pack it with you, because they might not have that, especially when it comes down to medicine. They're always running out, even if they have doctors on site. So it's just one of the groups that I've seen. There's lots of groups, lots and lots of groups online. And these groups will show you even live videos. They will live feed, they will record a video. If you ask for them to upload pictures of the beach, just so you can see it right now how it is, a lot of them will actually do it. But anyways, don't rely on these travel advisories that you guys will see from Canada on their website, because they're not always specific to particular areas. Now, Cuba itself, people like to go because it's very safe. I've never had anything stolen there. Not that that doesn't happen. I've heard people lost stuff and they weren't sure if it got stolen or not. So that can happen. It's the same things that happen in Canada can happen there after all. But it's very, very safe. So you can go out and explore and most likely nothing will happen. So it's a very safe country to go. And once again, I wouldn't select the cheapest one here. So although this one, for example, it's a 3.5 star and the resort might be okay, I would go for one that has a little bit more. So it costs a little bit more. So flamenco is also cheap. And there's a few ones here cheap. But this one, you only pay a little bit more, but you get a lot more from it. That said, with older resorts, there's usually more people there that know the place and they always go there. So you might even get a more friendly environment at these older resorts than the newer ones, just because people tend to always go to the same one. So once again, you guys will notice that the stars, this one has 3.5 with all these other 3.5s, and they have like around the same price. Well, this one does cost a little bit more, and that's why it has a little bit more. Plus, if you take a look, if you deep dive into each brand, some of these resorts can have more stuff than other resorts just because of their connections overall. So some of these even have their own distribution centers where they get stuff in. So while other resorts can have shortages, these guys might not have any at all. So I noticed that with Iberostar as well. We've been there and they didn't really have shortages. They just had other issues when we went there, but that's a separate video, another day. Then there's parts of Cuba that are very popular, such as Varadero. And usually Varadero is a little bit more pricey, but usually the roads there are more up to keep, so they're better, less bumpy roads. But everything does cost a little bit more there. So if you want to stay at a resort over there, it's gonna cost you just a tad more. So for example, this one's one of the ones that we stayed at Grand Memories Varadero, and it will cost you just a little bit more than the Cayo Coco, the one that we went recently. However, I can tell you the Cayo Coco one, it's a little bit cheaper, but it's a lot better than Grand Memories in upkeep and food and all that stuff. So again, if you're planning to go to Cuba and you're worried because of these travel advisories, again, I suggest just going to Facebook and ask people what they think right now. It's always good to check out reviews such as this one, sure, but they usually come out a little bit later. And if you want instant live feed from people that are there right now, always goes to these groups so you guys can ask away. And what I always suggest not expecting from Cuba is fast food. So if you guys really like fast food, that's not something you're gonna find that easy in almost any resort, but what you will find is food that's a little bit more homemade. So you're not gonna starve, there's lots of food, but junk food, usually they don't have that much, or any at all for that matter. And things such as Nutella and stuff like that, you're just not gonna find there as well. But they have their own things there that they do have available for you. So I've actually personally never had an issue with the food in Cuba, but I can see why some people actually don't like it because they don't add that much condiments to their food. But anyways, hopefully this video helped you guys out. And as far as this video goes, we are all done. If you guys have any comments, questions, you guys can write down in the comments area. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you.